Time to get the fish on. So today I decided to try to fish during a storm. I brought the float tubes, but that wind's coming and going, and the rain keeps picking up. So it's not looking good to get out on the water, but I think there's going to be some fish biting. If you look at the barometer, the all-seeing oracle seems to say fishing is good for today. We're going to be trying out this CBO balance bruised, and then I've got my firecracker leech up there. It's kind of hiding, a little mini, and then I've got a cotton candy vampire, and then this one right here is my little sparkle booby minnow. So we're gonna use the booby minnow kind of washing line technique and either sink it down or let it pull it down. And then obviously with the bobber, I've got a balance leech down on the bottom, and then the mini jig, the firecracker, hanging off of a 12 or 15 inch dropper. Oh man, look at the shoreline. It is all the way to the top. Didn't bring any waders, but that's okay. I think we're gonna cast out and let's see what the fish have to say about life today. Now we're cast out right on that ripple. Maybe that'll give us a little bit more attention for the fish, and see if we can't entice them with that little gentle bobbing move there. Fish on. Let's see what we got here, buddy. Oh, that's a nice little rainbow. Looks like you hit the balance bruise there. Let's see if we can get him up. Come on, pal. Yeah, he smacked that thing. Little CBO balance bruised. Oh, yeah. Come here, pal. We'll walk him back over here. Go. First cast, let's see if there's any fish here. Here he comes. Come on, buddy, we'll let you go. Oh, that's a pretty little rainbow there. Oh, that's a fat one. Really nice. Come on, we'll get you. See if we can show you what that guy looks like. Sorry about that, pal. And away he goes. I'm going to work on getting this line out a little bit further. The fish are out there. They're pretty far out there. We'll just keep hooking it. You can see the Stillwater. I'm trying to get out to where that water's a little bit more active. So we'll lift it, pull it out. Ooh. We're going to have to back cast here. About yay far. We're just out there a little ways, so the water's a little bit deeper. And that's about where I have my my bobber set. So we'll just kind of watching that bobber. A little bit hard to see in this weather, but you'll know when they hit it because it'll just do like a little side swim or potentially tug down under, and we're just watching for any irregular movements that aren't going with the swim like that. So anyways, so when the weather's like this, it's just a little bit mucky. You can see we've had a little bit of rain, a little bit of snow, and the fish are biting. They're not having any issues with taking flies right now. In fact, they're taking bigger flies on this lake than they are down in the local city pond. What's interesting about it is the storm's just kind of coagulating around the lake right now. But let me show you what this looks like. So we're just out here watching the bobber. See if we can zoom in a little bit on that line. There it is right there. A little bit hard to see. I've got that bright orange bobber on, and I'm approximately, oh, this rod's a 9-footer, 18. I'm 40 feet out from shore, and I'm hanging down about 6 feet, and we're just waiting for him to take it. So we've had just a couple little nibbles, one hard take, and then it just kind of died off. The storm started to rain, wind got bad. As soon as the wind died, the nibbles and the bites have just kind of stopped. It's still not great weather. It's pretty mucky, but I'm trying to cast out as far as I can. I should have brought my waders, but I'm trying to cast out as far as I can to get this line out there just in the water. We really want to get it just out there as far as we can, humanly possible. So some of the ugliest casting I ever do, you got a bobber and 2 flies, it gets really hard to hook it out there, especially with the wind at your back. So you just keep roll casting it, throwing it forward, try not to catch your fly on anything on the back cast, and definitely don't whip your flies off. Fish on, he took it. There we go. Come on, buddy. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. He got some run in him. There we go. All right. I was just saying it slowed down, and this guy changed his mind. Let's see which fly he took. CBO. Again. I was hoping he took the firecracker. Oh, look at that. The firecracker's been broke off. That's hilarious. Okay, maybe he's got both in his mouth. Thing was there when we cast it. Let's see if you can see him coming in. Oh yeah, that's a nice fish. Come here, buddy. You get over here and we'll let you go. Here he comes. Can't believe the size of these. They're just pretty fish. Look at them. Yeah. I think he's ready to give me my fly back. Come on, pal. Oh, that's a good one. Look at the size of that. Yeah. Right there in the lip. Just a little. Got some teeth on him. Okay. Let's see if we can. Can't really show you how long he is. It's a nice fish though. Let's see if he's ready to go. Come on, pal. Away he goes. One of the things about fishing with a bobber like this, you'll notice I've kind of put my bobber upside down, and I think what's important is that if this hits the fly, then the bobber can't come off if you have a really small fly on. But the other thing too to watch out for is when you're using these, you want to put a little loop like that and push it in there. Now if that loop somehow gets pulled over when you're fighting a fish, you're going to have a problem. The bobber won't release. So you want to pull that back down just like that. Push it in, and then when I pull, everything will release on it. So that's the kind of idea, so that I can have a really long leader, and when it hits the tip of the pole, it'll break away and come loose like that. Now it's sliding again. So that's the idea when you're fighting your fish. So we're going to set this back. Today we're fishing about approximately, I'd say 5 to 6 feet deep is all down to the fly. So whenever the wind dies down, I usually pull a few spools out. This reel's really old. The drag's been broken on it for years, but It still works. Sorry it's so loud, but we're just going to lift this until I get that bobber out of the water, lift back and pull, and then fling it out. And just do these little roll casts to work my line out quickly. Now, whenever I do that, I'll give it a chance to sink for a minute. And sometimes I'll hit it right on the cast, and other times it's got to sit there. Today it seems like when I'm changing positions, when I'm seeing them, and they're right out at the edge of the riffle feeding. That's what I think they're doing, this smooth water. So I've got to cast out quite a bit further, see if we can get it. These casts are going to get really ugly too. That one's not bad. Right there, that's about how far I'm having to get it out there to get these fish interested. So one of the other things about Stillwater like this, you're out here fishing it, it's kind of like a river. So the wind's coming at me. So if there's feeding fish right on the edge of those currents, we're just gonna cast up into them and let the wind drift the bobber down and just work it kind of like it's a river job, right? You can see there's a little more current up here. We'll just keep working it into them and letting it drift down. That's just kind of how I do it. But it makes sense. If there's feeding fish coming around this corner over here, they're going to be parked where the wind's pushing the food in. So I like to kind of work my way up from the tail end, because if they are and they're schooled, usually the bigger fish is going to be at the front of the school. So I'm just going to kind of work my way up to this little bush over here and just kind of roll cast into there and see if we can present this to some fish that haven't seen it yet today. I'm about 6 feet down, so it takes a little bit of time for that thing to get down to the bottom. Probably only 30 seconds or so. And you know, I've seen a couple of fish rise and clear out there, but I got this huge hill on my back that'll take me fly, so I'm kind of limited on distance on the roll cast. Only way to really get at them properly is to get out the float tube. And you know, the wind and the rain are coming pretty hard today, so to be able to do that, you're going to be the effort is exponential at this point. And who wants to be out on the water with a lightning rod when the when the storm's coming through? There's no lightning, so still maybe not a good life plan. I'm just going to kind of strip this in, pull it over into this slower lane, let it sit there for a minute or two, just see if we can find a taker. So whenever I'm bobber fishing lakes like this, I want to just try to maintain my connection on my line. Kind of like out on a float tube. I don't always put my tip in the water out here, but I'm just kind of pointed right at it. Now if you start to get a big belly loop, one thing you can do is, just like on the river, you can do an up or a down mend. I like to mend it this way on the lake, and that way the bobber will swing off to my right, and this line right here in this slower area, you'll just kind of maintain that tension. Or on the river, you might want to throw a loop up here so you have a little more time on the slow water on the other side. Just kind of helps. Then we're just looking for that bobber to dodge left or dodge right, or sometimes even sitting still. This time of year, they just bite onto it and hold it there for a sec. So it's been like half an hour since the last bite, maybe 20 minutes. So when that happens, I genuinely reel in, change flies, you know, give some of these fish a little chance to see it, because it's out there on a really nice cast. Hopefully that orange bead isn't everything to him, because the fish before that, his teeth got into it, or we dropped it on a rock or something, but the paint has come off. And I hate to think that that orange bead is all they're after. You never know. But they've kind of slowed down on the bite, and you can see the fly. At least I can see it. I don't know if you can see it in the video. It's a little bit different looking now. It kind of has like a little bit of a pell head to it. I'm going to pull it in here and show you. So it still looks the same, but you can't be towing any moss. That's not good. You can see they kind of trashed that bead. So I don't know if that's bouncing on the bottom, if I hit on the cast, or just really cheap foreign paint job on some of those beads, which that could be the case. Anyways, we're going to change over to the midge tip. So on the midge tip, I've got this little booby leech, and then up here I've got my cotton candy vampire leech. Now this is kind of a washing board setup, so what's going to happen is this fly is going to float or slowly descend, and when I cast it out there and the sink tip goes down, I'll be able to at some point pull down in, which will dive and drop this, make the booby fly dive, and then it will swim up. So let me finish pulling this line through here. So on this setup, I've just got a 6-inch dropper, and we come up here and follow it. We've just tied a little ring on there. It's got a little tiny metal ring so that we're not cutting into our fly line loop that came kind of pre-welded. Okay, so we're going to get this cast out. This setup's a little bit newer. This rod's a little TFO, and I can't remember where I got the reel. It is an import reel. Probably won't last as long as the high dollar stuff, but it stayed within the budget. And that's kind of important in these times. So we're gonna let that kind of sink. It's hard to see in the video, but the booby is actually underwater now. We're just gonna kind of taunt a few fish here and see, and get this line wet and see if it'll straighten out a little bit for me. Make sure both the flies are on there. I don't know if you can see that or not in the video, but that booby is just sitting there floating. Okay, let's get it out there. And nice thing is about this midge tip is I can hook it a lot further. This is a 6-weight line, where that other line was a 5-weight. So with this setup, I feel like I gotta really be cast out there far and kind of watch it. It can't sit there as long as like a bobber, just because there's just a slow descent constantly happening. And that booby will put that belly in the line because it floats, and that fly in the middle is just slowly kind of jigging and working its way down. And then when I pull, it's actually going to make the booby dive, and the other fly will come up, and then it will kind of drop a little and the booby will float back up. It's just a kind of a fine balancing act to find the right fly that'll either float your setup so you're dangling at the depth you want, or you can kind of work the shoreline and just keep casting out and trying little pockets and let it all slowly descend. It's kind of up to you how you want to fish it. It's a little more fun than just watching the bobber, especially when you're standing out here in the rain. And I'm fishing over this dock, or off this ramp here, just because the chance of getting snagged, there's nobody out here in the rain or I wouldn't be able to do this. But the chance of getting a snag right here are very minimized, just because of the fact that there's not moss growing on it. It doesn't mean you can't cast in all the other stuff. In fact, we are gonna walk over to the other side of this dock and throw some in. Well, that'll conclude today. We're gonna take off. You can see the two setups. I've got a couple of TFOs here. They're 9-footers, and then Scientific Anglers 5-weight, and I've got a Scientific Anglers 6-weight midge tip. So I got a dry line midge tip. Dry line killed it today. Well, I wouldn't say killed it. We caught a few on the dry line, a couple of missed bites, but the rain's just starting to get consistent, and so is the wind. So I'd say that's probably about time to call it for me, unless the fish were biting, but the bite died too. So anyways, Thanks for watching.